Hello students, welcome to our online teaching class of UPS Balangir. We are going to start the part 4 of economics class, chapter 2 of class 10 economics sector of the Indian economy, then part 4. We have in the previous classes we have already discussed about the employment generations and how can we provide employment opportunities in different sectors, all these things. Now we will discuss about division of sectors as organized and unorganized. So sectors of economy can also be divided into organized and unorganized. Organized sectors and unorganized sector. What is the difference between the distinguish between organized sectors and unorganized sector? We will come to know here. Different examples are there. So Kanta and Kamal. So Kanta is also Kanta works in an office. She goes to office, works for a particular period of time, that is from 9:30 to 5:30, and he gets a monthly salary. He gets also paid holidays, and she also gets medical and other allowances also. Kanta does not go to office on Sunday. This is holiday. He also gets paid holidays. When she joined work, she was also given an appointment order, in which in that appointment letter everything, the term and condition of the work has been mentioned. But on the other hand, Kamal is working in an unorganized sector. He is a daily wage laborer. He is working in a grocery shops. He goes to the shops at early morning, very early in the morning, that is 7:30, and comes home at 8 p.m. That means he works for a very long period of time. That means 12 hours or 13 hours. And he does not get any, there is no job security, there is no paid holiday, no work, no pay, all these things. He does not get any other scopes also. There is no terms and conditions. Whenever his owner will like, he can drive him out. All these things, these are the examples. So what are the differences between organized sector and unorganized sectors? Organized sectors covers those enterprises or places of work where the terms of employment are regular. There is regular job, there is job security. Other facility one can get, terms and conditions are also carried on. It is conducted by the government. Okay, this is conducted by especially the government, and have to follow its rule. It follows a lot of different rules and regulations which are given in various laws, such as Factories Act, Minimum Wages Act, Payment of Gratuities Act, Shops and Establishment Act. All these things, different terms, different rules and regulations are followed up in the organized sector. So in the organized sector, a person can get your huge salary, there is job security, there is prestige also, there is different terms and conditions which are conducted by the government. And here it is also called organized because it has some formal processes and procedures. Why it is called, it is also called organized sector because it has some formal processes. It has some formal processes and procedures in the case of organized sector, which we cannot get in the case of unorganized sectors. But workers in the unorganized sectors, sector enjoys security of employment. Workers in the organized sector enjoys job security, and they are expected to work only a fixed period of time, that is 6 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, not more. And if they work for more, they will get some extra benefit or extra wages. They will also get several other benefits from the employers also. They get paid leave. They get paid leave also. Payment during the holiday. There is provident fund, gratuity. All these things are being implemented in case of organized sectors. They are supposed to get medical benefits also under the laws. The factory manager has to ensure facilities like drinking water and safe working environment. All this, and whenever they retire, they get these workers get pension also. So these are about the organized sector run by the governments and others. But on the other hand, the unorganized sector is characterized by small and scattered units. Small and scattered units. These are conducted by private individuals. They are largely outside the control of the government, which the organized sectors are under the control of the government. But these are not followed, and different rules and regulations are also not followed in case of unorganized sectors, whereas different rules and regulations are followed in organized sectors. Jobs here, in the case of organized sector, there is no job security, no job security. It is conducted by private individuals. Less salary, less prestige. All these things are it is on different rules and regulations are not followed that are followed in the organized sector. So these sectors a lot also depends on the whims of the. So when there is less work, so for example, persons are working in the unorganized sector during the off season, the employer or the owner of the factory or other, they will engage more workers, and during the off season he will drive out or he will refuse the workers to be engaged also. And it totally, the working activity totally depends on the whims of the owners itself. So this sector includes a large number of people who are employed on their own, doing small jobs such as selling on the street or doing repair work. Similarly, farmers work on their own and hired laborers also. All these are the unorganized sector. So how to protect workers in the unorganized sector? So in this way, those who are working in the unorganized sector, they need protection. Definitely they need protections. So, but nowadays, it is also common to find that many organized sector enterprises, many organized sector enterprises, nowadays they are also implementing the different rules and regulations. Nowadays, different organized sectors are also implementing different rules and regulations like in unorganized sectors. As a result, numbers of people are getting jobless, which as a result, a large number of workers are forced to enter the unorganized sector, which pay very low salary. They are often, when people are getting different benefits like the unorganized sector in organized sector, so many people are also quitting or giving up the job, and they are joining in the unorganized sectors. They are often exploited and not paid a fair wage also. Their earnings are low and not regular also. These jobs are not secure, and at any time they can lose their job also. All these things. So since the 1990s, it is also common to see a large number of workers losing their jobs. Large number of workers, they have already lost their jobs, where these workers are forced to take up jobs since 1990s, large number of workers have lost their jobs who were working in the organized sector. So now these people have been forced to work in the unorganized sectors at a very low earnings. Hence, besides the need for more work, there is also a need for protection and support of the workers in the unorganized sector. In this way, in the unorganized sector, the workers need to get sufficient work, and they also need protection for their protection and support also in the unorganized sector. So who are these vulnerable people? Those who are working in the unorganized sector. In two cases, in rural cases and urban cases, these unorganized sector. In two cases, in the rural areas, people are also working. In urban areas, people are also working. In the rural area, those people who are vulnerable people who need protection in the rural areas are mostly comprises of landless agricultural laborers, those who are working in the field of the rich farmers or others, and they may be farmers, landless agricultural laborers, small and marginal farmers, sharecroppers, and artisans such as weavers, goldsmith, blacksmith, carpenters, all these are the people, vulnerable people, those who are working in the rural areas, that is especially in the unorganized sector. So they need protection and support from the government for their work. Okay, so in the unorganized, in the urban area, also people who are working in the sector comprises mainly of workers in small scale industry, casual workers in construction side, trade and transport, all these things, and those who work as street vendors, head load workers, garment industry also needs head load workers, garment makers, rat pickers, all these are different people working in the urban areas in unorganized sector. They also need support and protection from the government. Small scale industry also needs government. Small scale industry also needs government support for procuring raw materials. Small scale industry, which are run by private individuals, they also need government support for procuring raw materials and marketing of output also. The casual workers in both in rural and urban areas, they need to be protected. They are the worst sufferers. We also find that the majority of workers from scheduled castes, SC, ST, OBC, they also find themselves in the unorganized sectors. So besides getting the irregular, they are getting irregular job and irregular or low paid work. All these workers also face social discrimination. So these categories people, SC, ST, OBC categories people, they work in unorganized sector and they are also socially, they work at low wages. Besides, they are also exploited and they are also discriminated on the ground of their caste, etc., etc. Okay, so these are all about the organized sector and also unorganized sector, and the people who are working in the unorganized sector, in this way they need or they demand protection from the government. Again, sectors of economy or on the in terms of ownership, again sectors of economic activities can be classified into two sectors, private and public sectors. Again, economic activities can be classified on the ground of ownership. On the ground of ownership, economic activities can be classified as private sector and or public sector. Private sector. प्राइवेट सेक्टर से public sector से private sector. Okay, so on the ground of ownership, again economic activities can be classified into two sectors, like organized and unorganized. Here it is public sector and private sectors. In the public sector, the government owns most of the assets. In the public sector, the government owns most of the assets and provides all the services. In the public sector, all the services are provided by the government, whereas in the private sector, the ownership of assets and delivery of services is in the hands of private individuals. Okay. Thereafter, for example, railways or post office is an example of the public sector. The services are provided by the government, whereas private sector different services are provided by private individuals. Okay. Examples: railways, telegraphs. Okay. Railways and telegraphs. All these are the government sector undertakings. Railways and post office are the railways, post office is an example of the public sector also. Post office, railways, post office, postal activity. All these are, whereas in the private sector, like is an example of public sector, whereas companies like Tata Iron and Steel Company Limited, TISCO, Tata Iron and Steel Company Limited. So this is known as TISCO, Tata Iron and Steel Company Limited, or Reliance Industries. All these are Reliance Industries Limited, RIL. All these are the undertakings. All these are the different activities undertaken by private individuals. Activities in the private sectors are guided by the activities in the private sectors. Activities in the private sectors are guided by profit motive. Profit motive, whereas in the public sector, different activities are carried on for the welfare of the people and the benefit of the people. Okay, so private individuals or private sectors aims at getting more profit, whereas public sector aims at promoting welfare of the people and the better good of the people. Okay, so here also to get such services we have to pay money to these individuals and companies. Okay, activity in the private sector, for example, we want to get the different services from the private individual, we have to pay money. The purpose of the public sector is not just to earn profit, but for welfare of the people. So governments raise money through taxes from different through taxes like income tax or others from other sources, collect taxes and increase the funds of the country and invest those money for the different welfare activities like giving old age pension or different poverty eradication programs. All these things are providing schooling facilities, hospital facilities, other facilities, also giving rehabilitation assistance to other poor people or others. Okay, so there are several things needed by the society as a whole, but which the private sector will not provide at a reasonable cost. There are some things also which are not possible on the part of the private individual or private company to provide all these facilities to the people, because people cannot be because people may not be satisfied with these services provided by the private people, which is this is people like to enjoy the facilities provided by the government like electricity or medical facilities or educational facilities, all these things. Okay, so some of these needs spending large sum of money which is beyond the capacity. Why? Because people, the maximum people of our country are below, not their financial well-being is not good, so they want to easy going for every activity of their life. So here also collecting money from thousands of people who use these facilities is not easy. So in this way, here also even if they do private these things, so even if the private company provide these facilities or the different facilities, so they will charge more. For example, electricity is being supplied by private company, but the people are not satisfied with their because they charge more. So the government also bears some amount of money, and some amount of money is borne by the consumers. In this way, this system is carried on. Okay, so here also examples are different activities are there which should be conducted by the government, not by the private individuals, like bridges, construction of roads, bridges, railways, harbors, generating electricity, providing irrigation through dams. Thus, governments have to undertake such heavy spending and ensure that these facilities are available to everybody. This is the welfare activities carried on by the government. There are some activities which the government has to support. The private sector may not continue their production or business unless government encourages it. Just I have told you about the electricity. Okay. So similarly, the government in India buys wheat and rice. Government of India buys wheat and rice from the farmers. This stores in its godowns, at the MSP rate or minimum support price at the government rate. The government purchases surplus wheat and rice from the farmers and store in different godowns here and there in different FCI. And it also again, you have learned it in class 9, all these things in this to the government, and also and government also distributes this grants to the needy people or to the different beneficiary through PDS at a very subsidized rate or issue price. Okay, so there are a large number of activities which are the there are a large number of activities which are the primary responsibility of the government. There are different activities which are the primary responsibility of the government, like the government must trade on these, like providing healthcare facilities, educational facilities, all these things we have discussed it also, running proper schools and providing quality education, particularly elementary education. It is the duty of the government to, these are coming under the welfare activities of the people, and these are not by the private sectors. Similarly, we know that nearly half of India's children are malnourished. Nearly half of India's children are malnourished, and a quarter of them are critically ill, very ill also. Okay, and we have read about infant mortality rate, you know it, all these things. The infant mortality rate of Odisha or Madhya Pradesh is higher than some other poorest region of the world also. Government also needs to pay attention to aspects of human development, such as availability of safe drinking water, availability housing facilities for the poor, and food and nutrition facilities also. Okay, so it is, and government is providing a lot of facilities for the development of the women and children through ICDS, Integrated Child Development Scheme, that is Anganwadi. You know, it is also the duty of the government to take care of the poorest and most ignored regions of the country through increased spending in such cases. So these are all about the private sectors and public sector. Okay, so public sectors are owned and operated by the government. Private sector are owned and operated by the private individuals. Examples: railways, post office, these are bank or public sector. Tisco, RIL, Reliance, India Limited, all these are coming under the private sectors. Public sectors aims at promoting welfare of the people, whereas private sectors aims at getting more and more amount of profit. So there are all these are the different activities of this. These are some distinction of the differences between public sector and private sector, which are divided into two parts on the basis of ownership. All these are, this is all about this in this way. Then come to the point about your exercises. Fill in the blanks using the correct option given in the bracket. Employment in the service sector tax increase to the same extent as production has not. Worker number second, the workers in the tax sector do not produce goods. Tertiary sector, most of the workers in the tax sector enjoy job security. Organized sector. Fourth, a tax proportion of laborers in India are working in the unorganized sector. A large proportion of laborers in India are working in the unorganized sector. The activities in primary, secondary, and tertiary sectors are tax interdependent. We will collect it. Another two, choose the most appropriate answer. Number two, the sectors are classified into public and private sector on the basis of ownership of enterprises. Third hoga. B, production of a commodity mostly through the natural processes. Each an activity in primary sector. C, GDP is the total value of tax produced during a particular year, all final goods and services. D, in terms of GDP, the share of tertiary sector in 2013 and 14 is between 60 to 70%. All these are different other questions are also here. You will do yourself. Most important questions, question number 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, everything. 10 is more important. What do you understand by disguised unemployment? Explain with an example. Distinguish between open employment and disguised unemployment. We have discussed all these things. Tertiary sector is not playing any significant role in the development of Indian economy. Do you agree? Give your suggestion. Service sector in India employs two different kinds of people. Who are those? All these things we will collect. Explain how public sector contributes to the economic development of a nation. So many different very important questions are there. So you will collect notes from the chapter and you will do the exercises. So in this way, so chapter 1 development and chapter 2 sectors of the Indian economy completed. In the next classes we will discuss money and credit. Thank you.